Hey, this is Dave with Level Up Woodworking, and today, well, I'm going to destroy the best project I've ever done. The one that's got more views of any project I've done, more comments of any project that I've got done, more likes than any project that I've got done. And I'm going to demolish it. So stay tuned. Now, if you're wondering what this is here, well, this is my table saw cabinet. This is a future project that you can see a full video on if you're interested. What I'm doing right here, right now, today, is I'm ripping apart my air filtration cart, my best defense against dust, and I'm tearing it apart. Why? Because I think I can make it better, and I just can't get it out of my head. So today I'm looking at more table space, less dust, and a better unit overall. I think this is it. This is Air Filtration 2.0. Let's get started. Oh man, do I hate tearing apart something that I've so much enjoyed building and using. This has been one of the best projects I've ever done, and it's done a great job of eliminating a lot of dust in my garage. I decided to use 3/4 inch plywood for this build. And I know what you're thinking. Plywood is really expensive right now. But I've found some great deals either on Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace, and they've worked out really well. So if you're interested and looking for inexpensive plywood, check out those sites because I think you'll find some really great deals. Now the box build on this is fairly similar to the original one that I did, but I actually think it went a lot quicker and it was easier to build. And I still have plans for the original air filtration cart. I will eventually have plans for this design as well. They may not quite be available at the time of this video release. So if they aren't, you just stay tuned and they'll be on my website soon. Now I reused the fan, I reused the remote switch for this, I reused the power cord holder. A lot of those things that I liked about the previous build, I tried to reuse again in this build. Okay, with these last strips drying now, the bottom part of this is done. And if you've seen my last video, this is very similar in design to that. The only difference here is I use plywood versus using pine, leftover pine. I think this is a much simpler design to build, and it's a cleaner design, I think, in the long run, but we'll see when we finish. Basically, everything from here on out is a new build compared to the old filtration cart that I did. And if you haven't figured it out yet, you'll soon find out that I'm trying to create space for the common tools I use on a regular basis in the shop. You see, I love this cart. I want it next to me wherever I'm working on stuff to filter the air. But I also want those tools that I use on a regular basis, day in and day out, easily available to me when I'm working. And what a better thing to do than have it on a movable cart right next to where I'm working. Now, as I assemble this, I think you can realize that the top cover has sides on it, and it actually folds back on top of the cabinet. You'll see that later in the build, but I did that for a specific reason. I was looking for an opportunity to create additional table space. One of the things that I really liked about the original air filtration cart is it was right next to me and it had a tabletop that I could put stuff on. And I've got comments from people about, well, you could have put another filter there, could have put a filter on the bottom. And yes, I could have done all of that, could have probably filtered a little bit more air, but I really like that tabletop. So not only do I have space inside the top of this, but when I fold that back, I've created an additional set of tabletop space that I can put tools on a regular basis. And the thing I like about this is when I'm all done, I lift the cover over and shut it, because in my garage there's dust everywhere and I get dust all over my tools. Well, I've had this for several months now. I've been using it on a regular basis, and guess what? No dust on my tools, which I really like. Okay, I'm ready to put the wheels on now, and I've got some great wheels. I use these same wheels on my drill press cart, and I've been very happy with them. So I bought them again. I highly recommend these. They're not too expensive. I'll leave a link in the description below if you're interested. And the only thing is, the bolts that I use to put them on are just a hair too long. So I've made a 1/4-inch plate that will fit on the bottom of each so that the bolt doesn't go through the bottom. And I've also marked off the corners because I'm going to put a little trim on here and I want to make sure the wheels don't interfere with the corners. I put some carpet tape. I like to use carpet tape because it's super sticky. I usually use this for a temporary placement of something, but in this case it'll hold it in place until I drill the holes for the wheels. So let's go ahead and get that going. I tried using joint compound again to really smooth out the texture of the plywood, and I have to say I was very happy with the results. I think for nice projects, this is something I'll want to continue to use in the future. I built this slim drawer out of 1/2-inch Baltic birch with a 1/4-inch bottom on it. I've done these drawers a number of times, and they always work out well for me. I never use nails or screws. I just glue it together, and it's a very good, robust drawer. If you go back to my last video, which is kind of a joke all by itself, I made all kinds of mistakes, and one of those mistakes I made was buying 1/2-inch plywood from a big box store. It was absolutely terrible quality. I would never do that again, but hey, I lived through the experience. Now, I was a little critical about putting the front on the box because that was actually going to be the face of this drawer as well. In hindsight, I could have just put the thing together and adjusted it when I put the slides on the box, but I made it a little more complicated than it should be, and I'll fix that going forward as I write up the plans for this build. As with my last shop cabinet build, I used a different color here. I really kind of like this color. It's kind of a gray-black. It does show the dust more, but hey, it looks cool. Now, the last build was a disaster, so I wasn't sure I wanted to use this color again. But this build has turned out a lot better, and I really like the color. So I got a feeling you're going to see this more often, especially with the hardware that I put on here. This is all industrial grade hardware meant to last a long time. The added cost in this build really comes with the addition of some of this hardware. Not only these handles and hinges, but the trim work that I put around the outside. It'll help it last a lot longer, and I think it looks great, but it does increase the price. So if for some reason you decide you don't want to use that, you would save quite a bit of money. And I found this at a supply store out in California. I'll put a link in the description below in case you're interested in buying this. It's not cheap, but I think it's going to work real well, and it looks nice. I even went down to make sure I had the right spacing on the screws as I put this together. At this point, I'm building 2 final pieces to go inside the toolbox. This will hold a lot of the common tools that I use on a regular basis. And then I install a bracket on the side that holds a razor blade and my safety glasses and a measuring tape that I want quick access to frequently. Now, this is different from one person to the next. I will have some detail in the plans of how I built these, but it really depends on the individual in terms of what you want to be able to store in the box on top of your air filtration cart. All I had to do was add the filters and I'm all done. I love the way this thing turned out. And again, I've used it for several months. I really like how it performs. I think I'm going to get a lot of use out of this cabinet. Hey guys, this is it. This is my air filtration 2.0, if you want to call that. This is an enhanced version of a previous air filtration cart that I built. You want to see that video, I'll have a link in the description. It's a lot more robust than I had before, and I think this will serve me a long time. I have it in a spot that I opened up here around the miter saw table. And I can just slide it back out anytime I want to use it. I've got MERV 13 filters on 3 sides of this, just like I had in the last cart. I have an extension cord built into it. So I can plug it anywhere in the shop, roll it to where I want to use it, and leave it there to filter the air. Nice thing about this one has tools, which I'm really excited about. And I went through and looked at a whole bunch of different combinations of tools that I wanted to have access to when I'm building stuff. And this is my my short list. So if you like what you saw today, I'd certainly appreciate it if you hit like. I'd love it if you'd subscribe to my channel. I really am looking for more subscriptions. That's what kind of keeps me going day in and day out. And if you like what you saw today, I really appreciate you watching it. And thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.